Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. Bottom of the screen, Cyberpunk Red and 2020 bundle at tankars-tavern.games/red, R-E-D. This takes you to Humble Bundle. This is how you can support this channel. We don't do paid ads, and again, I know YouTube runs ads even on videos that are demonetized, essentially. They still run ads because they're not paying the handful of dollars to me that they would normally. So if you want to support affiliate links like this, our affiliate links for drive through are the way to do it, and you get some good merchandise that way. You get some good stuff. It's a good game. I have much of the 2020 stuff from back in the day. So, according to Joe Manganiello, the Dragonlance live action project is not moving forward. Now, this was pretty big news when it was, I think, announced last March. And Joe was all psyched. And then, if anybody saw those Ollie's ads, or walked into an Ollie's, and you saw the Dragonlance board game being sold for dirt cheap, tells you that Dragonlance, at least in the eyes of WotC right now, is no longer a hot property. Now, why would that be? Could it be all the negative publicity that surrounded Dragonlance with the lawsuit that happened between them and Weiss and Hickman? Was it 2-3 years ago? Great way to damage your own IP there, folks. Again, WotC is not the wisest when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Now, this might be a good decision not to go forward. I don't know. Dragonlance live action project not moving forward, according to Joe Manganiello. A planned live action adaptation of the Dragonlance series has been canceled. Joe has some bad news for D&D fans, especially those who love the epic series Dragonlance. Speaking with comicbook.com's Chris Killian in an exclusive interview, the True Blood and Justice League actor confirmed that a proposed live-action Dragonlance project he'd been working on for years was not moving forward, despite the script receiving high praise from several Hollywood producers. Dragonlance is not a property Wizards of the Coast, Wizards in the Coast, look at that, they screwed up the article. Wizards of the Coast are interested in developing further currently. Manganiello said the planned project was not moving forward due to several issues, including Hasbro's sale of E1 Studio. That was probably the studio that was going to produce this, right? Well, they sold that off. Poor performance of a Dragonlance D&D adventure and board game in 2022. And that's because WotC is no longer treating anything that isn't Forgotten Realms as a separate setting. It's finding a way to shoehorn all this shit into the Forgotten Realms. Not a great thing to do. And they're rewriting a lot of this stuff. So Dragonlance is no longer the Dragonlance that people experienced back in their youth. In the interview, Manganiello spoke about the work he spent attempting to turn a Dragonlance novel series, which features a group of heroes fighting against the dark goddess of dragons and her forces of evil. He worked with the script writing partner and consulted with novel writers Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss on a project. Tracy and Margaret were all about it. It was really me getting in there and fleshing out the world they built, and the world they hinted at in some places but didn't shine a magnifying glass on. Next, they were inspired by HBO's treatment of True Blood, which was based off the Southern Vampire Mysteries novel series. What I had planned for the first season was mind-blowing. Now, mind you, your own work you always generally think highly of, unless you're somebody who has imposter syndrome. I don't think Joe has imposter syndrome. I think he thinks highly of his work. I want to make the Dragonlance show because I want to see it. I want to feel that excited and electric about something. These characters, like the casting, I have a lookbook with over 1,000 pages, but it's not what you would expect. The design concepts I have for the world, for the armor, for the swords. I had a fresh take on what the dragons were going to look like. It was going to be nothing like anyone had ever seen. and these beloved characters that have been read by, I think Tracy said there's 35 million copies in circulation. Joe said the script he prepared for a Dragonlance pilot was well received by those outside of Hasbro and E1. The biggest fantasy literary agent in town, he said, and these are his words, not mine, it was the best fantasy pilot he had read since the original Game of Thrones. There was another executive that read it and said it was one of the best fantasy scripts he'd ever read. I actually got an email just this morning from a producer who said it was awesome, and he wanted to send it to the rest of his company and hopefully develop another fantasy IP. Well, can't he just do what was done with that horrible movie that was meant for Star Wars, and then just, I guess it released it on what, Amazon or Netflix or something like that? It's got such bad reviews I can't even tell you what it's called. I didn't write a script that was terrible. Calls were made to say this is what you should be making, this is what you should be doing, but currently it's to no avail. He even attempted to buy the rights to Dragonlance. I offered to buy Dragonlance. I was talking to people with money just to get it and separate it so I could get the option and take it out of the town. However, his efforts have currently reached a dead end, although he's optimistic that things could change. Maybe somewhere down the line, someone comes back or the company switches hands and somebody sees the value. So, he's thinking, what? That WotC and or D&D could potentially be sold. That's what he's hinting. Not that I think Joe has much more of an insight than any of us do, but maybe he does because he's talking to money people, and maybe there is something going on. I think that's part of this article that is pretty interesting. I'm going to just scroll back there. Maybe somewhere down the line, someone comes back, or the company switches hands and somebody sees the value. I suspect that this would have been a very expensive series to create. And we've seen what happens when you don't put money into. I think Shannara looks pretty lame. And actually, the acting and the storyline was pretty lame. And reminds me of nothing of the actual Shannara books, so especially that sort of Shannara. But if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. And it probably is outside. After watching the D&D movie fail, and I didn't say that, right? And it's not, all right. It didn't fail in like the original D&D movies did, but it didn't succeed. It wasn't a blockbuster. It didn't make the money they thought they were going to make off it. And I think WotC is afraid of investing in that. And I think that they're afraid of putting out something that might wind up being another loser, another loss, another black eye in the D&D franchise. So they're playing it cautious. Or the rumors are right, and D&D or WotC are for sale, and it's just like when you're selling a home, a multi-dwelling home, and you have renting tenants. You generally want the renters' leases up. You want the house empty before somebody comes in and buys it. They don't want to inherit stuff. You don't want to have things tangled up. Well, the Dragonlance rights are here. You want things all in-house so when whoever buys it can then decide what they want to do with the rights. So maybe that's just being hinted at. I don't know. But just something to think about. All right, folks. On that note, if you're on the Tavern's Discord at 9 p.m. on Thursday nights, we do a hangout. We're going to do a hangout in the Speakeasy again tonight, 9 o'clock. Usually it lasts about an hour and a half, 2 hours, probably closer to an hour and a half tonight. Have an early doctor's appointment, regular schedule appointment, nothing major, tomorrow morning, so I may call it early. Other than that, there's a live stream tomorrow night at 8 p.m., a live stream on Saturday at 8 p.m. Join us. We always enjoy having great company. All right, folks, on that note, be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, roll them well. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, join us. Laters.